we are in the midst of a digital business revolution, and that begins with IoT, that begins with data, that begins with machine learning, that begins with cloud.
What's coming in the next 10 years is the deepest technology and cultural shifts we've seen since the 1970s.
IoT may be one of the drivers, but I would say mobile broadband is possibly more likely to be.
The way in which IoT influences the development of 5G, well, it's top priority for just about every carrier, every vendor in the world at the moment.
Maybe as a driver, yeah, but I think it'll be a user of NFV, and it just makes sense. And you know, the concept of network slicing is dedicated virtual networks for specific applications or geographies.
So we would expect that a lot of it is about services. The question is really who provides what bit into the service.
We have a use case on IoT, so there are definitely use cases for NFV and IoT outside of 5G and within 5G.
I look at it as being a user of NFV technology, along with all the other applications that you could slice a core network into doing.
I mean, most of the IoT offerings, if it comes to IoT platforms and so on, is a cloud-based solution which basically eventually will run on an NFV platform.
Hello and welcome to this super panel discussion sponsored by Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Intel and brought to you by TelecomTV. I'm Martyn Warwick and I'm moderating this debate on is IoT the driver for NFV in CSP networks? We think it's a very pertinent question given the age we're living in, and we hope to prove it over the course of the next half hour, 40 minutes or so, and we hope you'll agree with us. So let's get started, and let me introduce the panel to you. We have some old friends here and some new ones who I hope will be friends by the time we finish. But on my left, an old friend, Lynn, Director of Market Development Network Platform Group at Intel. Lynn, good to see you and welcome.
Good to see you.
On her left, David Vasquez, Senior IoT Specialist at Verizon, a big service provider.
Thank you for having me.
In the middle there is Ray Mota, CEO and Principal Analyst at ACG Research. Ray, welcome. Next to you is Eric Beau, Head of R&D Network Division IT Solutions for the Core Network at Orange, or Orange. Let's do it properly. And last but by no means least, down at the far end there is Prodip Sen, the CTO Network Functions Virtualisation at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Welcome all, welcome to you. To make new services profitable, carriers need to offer more than just connectivity. They need to provide a platform to deliver secure and assured and automated and optimized and managed services if they're going to make the maximum advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which analysts believe is going to be worth somewhere in the region of $1.3 trillion. People want a part of that for obvious reasons. And Ray, I'm going to turn to you first. You're the analyst here. You look at this very, very closely indeed. You've just prepared a new research report. Tell us what's in it and what's your take on this, the value of this, the potential of IoT in this space?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we did an analysis where we looked at about 48 carriers around the world. We looked at the economics and we looked at some ratios. We looked at OpEx divided by revenue, and it was trending up, which is not a good sign, right? We also looked at profitability divided by revenue, and it was trending down, right? And that was over a 5-year period. So that first thing that it told me is that the wait and see is not an acceptable option because this is not a sustainable EBITDA type margin, right? But then we looked further and said, what are the new services that potentially could be in there? And the first part is IoT has the potential and excitement to be that new service opportunity. But the concern that we had and what we found out from this report was that connectivity shouldn't be the only option with that, right? Because if you look at that, you have the potential to be worse off in 3 to 5 years from now just based on that, right? So the whole premise around it is to say, what technology could I use, whether it's NFV or whatever, to be able to enable more profitable services, develop them quicker, simpler, but more importantly, then be able to have either some type of platform or umbrella to offer your customers to add these value-added services like security, automation, optimization, and those pieces. So that was really the foundation of the analysis there.
Okay. Eric, would you like to add to that? What do you make of it, and where it's Orange? How is it affecting you, and what's going on?
So Orange is also a big service provider worldwide. So at the time being, we serve maybe 10 million connected devices with our network. So that's not a big part of our network because we serve maybe more than 200 million customers worldwide. So the connected objects that don't pollute our network at the time being. In Orange 2020 strategy, we identified IoT as a key topic market, and we target 600 million euro revenues by 2018. That's quite a good figure, and we believe that will increase with the advent of the 5G that we expect to start with by 2020 with the Euro event. And for 5G, it's clear that NFV, SDN, big data analytics will be the key enablers. So that's our position at the time being. But now, we launched some IoT services. We don't wait the 5G standards to be finished to launch some services. For example, in France, there are some markets on LoRa sensors. So we launched a network in France. So we covered, I think at the time being, covered 18 urban areas. And we want to target, I think, 120 by the end of January next year. And as an example, we signed a partnership with Vinci. I don't know if you know Vinci, it's a big company, to cover motorway service area. So they will put sensors in the area, and we will be able to collect the data to better optimize the maintenance for this service area. That's just an example of what we are doing, and we are working with various actors on IoT.
An open question to anybody who wants to answer is, do you think the network is being stressed yet by IoT, and what impact is it having on the network so far?
So I'll take it, not yet, but it's definitely going there. And to some of the points that Ray and Eric made, so the Verizon brand, we've been monetizing our infrastructure for a long time. And we had this idea of, letting partners come to us and charge them for transport, charge them to use our highways. And that was very profitable. And we have over 1,300 ecosystem partners that demonstrate that this was a good business idea. But as things have progressed and, technologies are, like IoT are coming to light, we realized that it's not enough. That in order for us to be responsibly profitable, we needed to move up the stack. That it's about the application, it's about the platform. So that said, we're not moving away from monetizing the network. So one of the things we've done, we've launched recently in the US a IoT enablement platform that we're calling ThinkSpace. And the reason of its existence is to accelerate IoT development and go to market for the masses. It's offered as a service, and you can start from devices. We want to be sensor agnostic. We want to be network agnostic, but use some of the building blocks that we have, like security, like hosting on our cloud assets. And, and we're thinking of leveraging technologies like NFV as building blocks, because I made this comment to Eric that if we were to shut down one of these networks tomorrow, what would happen if we don't have NFV in place to help us intelligently manage that load? So that's my comment, and because I need to compete with Eric, we have he said they have 10 million connected devices. We have almost 18 million connected devices. And his goal of revenue of 2020, we hit, I think, Q2 this year at $455 million from IoT. So there you go. But we're friends.
Yes.
So we're getting into mine's bigger than yours this early on, are we?
So
okay.
maybe I'll take a more neutral approach. One thing that I think is interesting about these services is, although the network may not be stressed right now, as we know from experience, it's very hard to predict when a very popular need or application suddenly arises, and that's where you get into the question of how can I very quickly spin up an application on the resources that I do have deployed that are going to be multi-purpose, and that's, I think, where you ask the question about NFV. What does that bring? It gives you the agility to be able to respond when you have a surprise demand for something you didn't predict.